Hi, I'm Pearson, and today my presentation is about how our feelings influence what we remember. So my research question throughout this project was, how does the emotional correlation to memory impact the ability for a person to remember it? And the stimulus I used was Rachel Kadziganda's My Mother's House, Johan Norberg's False Nostalgia, and the 2024 Alzheimer's data released by the 2024 Alzheimer's Association. And in these stimulus sources, I use My Mother's House as more of like a personal, emotional memory type lenses. So it goes through the story of Rachel Kadziganza, her mother and her family have been telling her these stories about this, about their past, and that is really like more familial history, familial memories. Johan Norberg's False Nostalgia more goes through it through like the community sense, talking about nostalgia as a whole, not individually based. And the 2024 Alzheimer's data is more just like that clinical data to help back up my other claims. So the background on memories I have is memories are not just facts, they're also emotions, which is, it's commonly believed that memories are just facts. Like it's either facts or emotions, but I say that it's both. And so with memories, neuromechanisms and emotions, they work together, and when they don't work together, if there's a failure of either of them, then that is when memories start failing, and then you have things like Alzheimer's disease. So I'm going to be talking about Alzheimer's a lot, so let's just get a little background in there. So 6.9 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease, which is AD. According to the 2024 Alzheimer's data graphs, 6.9 million Americans have Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is a disease that not only causes memory loss, but it also causes a loss of self and personality. And furthering what I just said for the background of Alzheimer's, from the same set of graphs, is this is more just like the toll that it takes on other people. So this graph is referring to the stress reported by caretakers for Alzheimer's patients. And so these caretakers are normally unpaid family members that have to either work double time so that way they can be making money through their jobs and supporting their family, or they have to quit their job and just start taking on that role of supporting their Alzheimer-ridden family member. And on this graph, 59% of these caretakers reported that there was emotional stress, whereas 38% of caretakers reported physical stress. So how emotions impact memories is stronger emotions lead to stronger memories. I have a quote from Johan Norberg that states, "For dementia sufferers, nostalgia can establish some sense of personal continuity," which is showing that like this nostalgia is an emotional memory. Like nostalgia is looking back at the good old days, all these emotional memories, and Norberg is claiming that with these emotional memories, it is beneficial towards the person as it can help rebuild that sense of self that I earlier established is lost with Alzheimer's and dementia. So the resolution that I came up to throughout all my research was emotional conditioning. What is emotional conditioning? Emotional conditioning is a psychological process in which you're trained to associate certain stimuli with certain emotions. So an example of this is like you play a certain song and then you have a memory that's linked to it. So that means that when you are being trained to do this, you have a song playing in the background as you're being prompted to remember these memories. And then when that song plays later, you'll be able to remember the memory because of that song. Why I chose emotional conditioning is because I feel like the benefits much outweigh the drawbacks. So the benefits are it's been proven successful in many different cases, it's non-invasive, and it re-engages these Alzheimer's patients, it gives them that sense of self, it gives them that sense of personality back. Whereas the drawbacks are it can cause irrational fears and PTSD, and it's also more difficult to undo compared to other things. So I have a quote that demonstrates the success of emotional conditioning, and ADRD means Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. So I have a quote that represents the success of that, and it was a case study conducted at, it was a case study conducted at Kinky University School of Medicine, and in this case study, they had an Alzheimer's patient whose mother had died, and then 18 days later, she stated, "I miss my mother, I want someone to be around me." And while being morbid, this does demonstrate the fact that these emotionally tied memories increase the chance for these people to be able to remember the things. And this is also demonstrated in Rachel Kadziganza's My Mother's House, when she states that if it was bad, I don't remember. If it was beautiful, I forgot that too. All I remember is wanting to leave, which goes along with the theme of like, even though it is morbid, because of these emotional memories, because of the strong emotions, it's easier for her to remember. She doesn't remember the specifics, but she remembers the emotion. She remembers like what she was feeling and who was there in those moments. And then real world application is like I was talking about earlier with the music stimuli association. I found a company called Music and Memory in which they work with Alzheimer's patients and people who have lost these memories. They work with them and play certain playlists of music that they like, and then they associate those memories with that music so that way they are able to get that sense of self and personality back. And they have a quote that it's just from their About Me bio, it's what they do, and it says, "Through the use of personalized music playlists, we help individuals with cognitive and physical conditions reclaim their humanity." And then the ethical dilemma is, I have a quote from von der Kolk, I don't know his first name, and it states, "When the alarm bell of the emotional brain keeps signaling that you are in danger, no amount of insight will silence it." And this is going back to that drawback, that negative side of emotional conditioning is it can cause those irrational fears, it can cause that PTSD, and and then once you get it started, like once that memory starts coming, you can't just stop it. You have to, it's just gonna keep coming until it naturally like fades away. It's not just like, oh, actually I don't like this, I'm just gonna stop it. So, and then my counterclaim is from Chi Jai and his peers from Donder's Institutes for Brain, Cognition, and Behavior. And they claim that while it is unclear how extrinsic emotion influences memory when encoding is retrieval-based, which means that I earlier claimed that emotions and neural mechanisms work together in order to form these memories, while they are claiming that it is not. And the rebuttal against that I came up with, why it still matters, is that while emotional memory may not restore facts, it is still beneficial towards their quality of life because you can have those positive memories that are helping this person remember the more positive memories, and it's been shown that positive memories have a better impact on life. And that's it.
Okay. What information did you need before you began your research, and how did that information shape your research?
The information that I needed before I began my research was on the topic of how emotions are actually formed, because I made the claim that if you have an emotionally charged memory, it'll stand out better in your memory, you'll be able to recall it better, but I had no proof of that. So before I started, I had come up with that claim before researching. I came up with something to back up my claim to make sure that I was going on the right track before I got too far down and was like, oh shoot, I researched all the wrong stuff for my claim, so now I need to quickly do some more research or just claim something that isn't true.
And how did you use the conclusions or questions of others to advance your own research?
I use the conclusions and questions of others to advance my own research in many different ways. So I read, I think in total I was 18 different scholarly journals. I didn't cite all of them, I didn't use all of them, but I used the conclusions that all of them came up with to further direct my research. So for example, one of them had claimed emotional conditioning, and then I went down a rabbit hole of emotional conditioning and like, what is it, how can it help, is it really a viable resolution for my topic?
Thank you.